Good morning, it's today again. Welcome back to Joseph's Reserves. I'm Joseph, and I store 20% of my income in the form of rare coins and precious metals. I think every stacker reaches a moment when they realize ounces aren't the whole story. I used to think that adding more weight every week was the only way I could grow my stack. More silver, more coins, but lately I've been asking a different question. If these pieces are going to outlive me, what version of them do I want to pass down? And this week I didn't grow my stack, not in physical ounces. I refined it. I grew it in value without adding to it. And I want to explain why in some cases this might be better than adding more ounces. Congratulations to Emmanuel for being the first to comment on my video yesterday. Y'all go find him down in the comments to start a conversation. At some point in this journey, something shifts. At least it did for me. I began as a stacker. Weight mattered, premiums matter, spread matters, thinking about ounces, about liquidity, and about downside protection. And that mindset is good. It's a foundation. But over time, if you stay in this long enough, the mindset will begin to evolve. You'll start to see that not all ounces are equal. Not all examples are equal. Not all presentations are equal. And that's where the stacker mindset slowly turns into the collector mindset. The stacker asks, how much silver is this? And a collector might ask, how strong is this example? The stacker focuses on total weight, and a collector focuses on quality per piece. And generational thinking requires both, but I believe it leans heavier on the quality. Here I've been showing my collection of non-bullion strike American Silver Eagles. This would be proofs, reverse proofs, and the burnish strikes. I started to pick these up without the box and COA because I was able to buy them at the same cost as a regular American Silver Eagle. In addition, I have here the beginnings of my graded US dollar typeset. I currently have a Morgan dollar, a peace dollar, a newer commemorative dollar, and yes, I include my Spanish pillar dollar as these did actually circulate in the United States. And this week I upgraded from my MS-63 peace dollar to an MS-64. When I moved from an MS-63 peace dollar to an MS-64, the silver content didn't change. The history didn't change, and the design definitely didn't change, but the quality did, and the quality carries the value. Not just emotional value or financial value, but in the grading world, small jumps in condition can mean meaningful differences in long-term demand. Higher grade coins tend to have stronger buyer pools. They tend to be more sought after. They often hold their premiums more consistently because they represent scarcity within scarcity. There are fewer higher grade examples than the average ones, and that matters the most over decades. A higher grade compresses value into the same physical space. It's still the same type of coin, still the same ounces, but it represents a higher standard. It represents fewer flaws. It represents a better survivor of history, and that difference is not just aesthetic, it's measurable within the market behaviors. When collectors upgrade sets, they chase stronger examples, and when auctions set records, it usually is for the higher grade specimens. Over time, quality separates itself. And the same is true for completeness. A proof American Silver Eagle without the original box and certificate is still real, it still contains the silver, but is no longer a full presentation. The original packaging and the certificate of authenticity, the untouched case, these things tell the story. They communicate that the coin was preserved intentionally from the beginning. They provide confidence, they remove doubt, they simplify the resale, and they strengthen the desirability. When someone inherits a coin with the original box and certificate intact, they're inheriting more than just the metal. They have the clarity, they have no second guessing of authenticity, and no wondering if something is missing. And in the markets, wholeness commands respect. This is where the collector mindset strengthens generational value. Because inheritance is rarely about maximizing ounces, it's about maximizing ease, clarity, and strength. If someone opens a collection decades from now and sees average, loosely stored pieces, they might struggle to understand what they have. But if they open a box and see graded, higher quality coins with complete documentation and presentation, the value is obvious, and the care is obvious. The standard is obvious. Higher grade coins often attract a different class of buyer. Complete examples often command stronger bids. When you refine your collection upward, you're not only improving the aesthetic appeal, you're increasing the likelihood that it will retain desirability across generations. That desirability is value. It is the market resilience. And here's the part that matters the most to me. Added quality compounds. It slowly replaces average pieces with stronger ones over the course of decades. The overall integrity of the entire collection rises. The floor rises. The average and the standard is higher. So when the collection changes hand, it doesn't just represent accumulated weight. It represents someone being serious about what they accumulated. There's something very powerful about passing down something that has clearly been curated. It communicates patience, it communicates discipline and growth, and that is an intangible signal, that sense of intentional refinement. It carries its own value. It shapes how the next generation views what they receive. If I hand down average pieces because I never improve them, that's one story. But if I hand down stronger examples because I consistently look for opportunities to upgrade, that's another story. One says, I bought what I could, but I never stopped adding, and the other says, I improved what I had over time. And that improvement doesn't happen overnight, it happens incrementally. A 63 becomes a 64, and an incomplete proof becomes a complete one. A common date coin in an average grade eventually gives way to a sharper one, a more desirable specimen. Each is a small move, but over time, small refinements create a collection that stands apart. And if I can add value not just by adding weight, but by improving the quality, if I can slowly turn average pieces into exceptional ones, then the people who inherit this one day won't just receive metal. They'll receive something that carries stronger demand, clearer identity, and deeper intentionality. That is generational stacking. Not just accumulation, but refinement. Not just more, better. And before I wrap this up, I do want to talk about the numbers, because refinement only works if it makes sense financially. I sold those two proof American Silver Eagles for $75 each. At the time, it was $5 under spot. And that's important to understand, because without the original box and COA, the proof Eagles usually are treated like regular American Silver Eagles in the marketplace. The silver is the same, the design is the same, and the presentation matters. Without the COA and the box, they lose part of what makes them distinct. And here's a part that adds a whole nother layer. I originally bought those two proofs for around $50 each a few months ago. So even selling them at $75, I'm still ahead. That growth gave me more flexibility, and it allowed me to refine without feeling like it was a sacrifice. Then I purchased the two complete proof Eagles with the box and COA for $95 each. So yes, I did pay the premium for the completeness, but the question is, will that completeness matter in the future? And I believe it is. Right now, it's relatively easy to find proof Eagles with their original packaging, but time does what time always does. Boxes get separated, certificates get lost, and cases get scratched. Over years, and especially decades, full presentation examples tend to become less common simply because people don't preserve anything very carefully. And when something becomes less common, even quietly over time, premiums often respond. I'm not saying that the box alone will make these skyrocket, and that's not the point. The point is strength. The point is owning the stronger example within the same category. If I have an option between an incomplete and a complete set, and the difference is reasonable, I would rather hold the complete version in long term. Now, let's talk about the peace dollar. This is the one I'm most happy with. I sold the MS63 for $62.50 and I paid $90 for the MS64. So I effectively paid a $27 difference to step up to a full grade. And in a world of graded coins, that's not dramatic, especially for a coin that already has a strong collector demand. The silver didn't change and the year didn't change, but the quality did. And here's what excites me the most. Higher grade coins often command stronger premiums over time. They attract more serious buyers and they perform differently in auctions. They become the preferred examples when collectors build sets. That MS64 now becomes a stepping stone. Maybe one day it'll turn into an MS65, or it'll help me fund a rarer date within the series. But either way, it's an upward movement. Instead of holding a solid but average example indefinitely, I compressed more value into a stronger piece. The same space, the same footprint, but a higher standard. And that's really what this whole conversation is about. Refinement doesn't mean constantly upgrading. It just means watching for opportunities where the math makes sense and the standard improves. It means understanding the spreads between grades and recognizing that sometimes a relatively small price difference can meaningfully raise the floor of your collection. If silver goes up, both the MS63 and MS64 will benefit. But historically, stronger examples tend to maintain collector premiums more consistently because the quality is scarce. So when I look at these trades, I don't see money put into the same ounces. I see a rise in the standards. The proof eagles are now complete, and the peace dollar is now stronger. The overall integrity of the collection is improved, not by adding weight, but by increasing the quality per piece. And if these coins are going to sit in a box and one day wait for the next person to open them, I want that box to reflect progress. I want it to reflect that while they were in my care, I tried to leave them better than I found them. And that's refinement. You can now write me at Joseph's Reserves, 10160 Highway 242, Suite 800, number 401 in Conroe, Texas, zip code 77385. Make sure to include your information so I can write you back. If you like this video, make sure to go down and give it a thumbs up. Go down to the comments section for any questions or comments. Please subscribe and share the video, but most of all, thank you so much for watching. And just remember, every ounce adds up, so no matter how small, just keep stacking.